The legend of machine. All the Tampa's got that Mickey Mantle gene. It's secret time. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the fucking machine.
What's divorce like?
Divorce? Oh, dude. It's the best and worst thing you could possibly go through, right? It's the best. It's the best on one side because you're out of a situation that you shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
And it's the worst because it takes a long time to get to a good place.
For real?
Yeah, I mean, no matter how hard you try for it to be like amicable, you still, there's still like all kinds of feelings around it. But I'll tell you, I'm divorced now. Gosh, my son's 18, so I'm divorced now 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick after we realized pretty quickly that it was not meant to be. And then my ex-wife ended up marrying one of my buddies, who's
Really?
also a movie producer.
Shut up.
So he was on my podcast and everybody was like, I gotta fucking listen to this because what is the story? But it worked out great. We're really, really all good now and really good friends now. So it's the best possible.
I'd have the worst divorce in the world. Like if Leanne and I got divorced, it would be nasty and mad and angry. It would definitely be my fault.
You know what's so funny is it, in theory, should be easy. I mean, forget it. If you take all the emotional shit, is obviously going to be what it is.
Yeah.
But in the state of California, it's a no-fault state. There is a thing called a disomaster, which you just run your income through, and it gives you the number of alimony and gives you the number of child support.
Really?
There's no negotiation. And you split your shit 50-50. It should be the easiest thing. Where it gets fucked up is the divorce attorneys get in and start to turn the knife of that emotion and make everybody doubt and skeptical and drag the shit out. And then you just end up giving them all the money.
I had a friend who got a divorce. I think he just wrote one check.
Yeah. Well, you can do that too. I mean, mediation is definitely the way to go. Like Laura Wasser, she's a good friend of mine. She's a divorce attorney. She also has a podcast now called Divorce Sucks. Her whole thing is her dad was a divorce attorney too. And her whole thing is just don't go to court. We can settle this. I'm going to tell you exactly where you would end up.
Yeah.
Without paying millions of dollars in legal fees. It's up to you. You're going to get to that same place. You're just going to have less money because you're going to pay off all these legal fees for lawyers.
Yeah. I have friends going through divorce. I have one friend going through divorce. They were really close to us. And when I found out they were getting divorced, I was shocked. And I was like, I felt like I was betrayed. Right. I was like, hold on, you're not allowed to do that.
Right. Exactly.
I thought we agreed that would be forever.
I mean, it is.
The guy's happy though. I think the woman's
so
not.
easy to get divorced is the problem. I mean,
really?
Well, I mean, no one's stopping you. So it's like, and I feel like, there's so many different ways to go through it. Like you said, one person could just be feeling like, I think it's time for me to move on. Or the other person could be feeling like, I'm not getting enough out of this. I'm not getting any younger. I mean, in my case, we just were never right for each other. We just kept trying to make it work. And we're like, how about a kid? Maybe that'll help. It's like, that doesn't help. It doesn't make it any better.
The thing I'd like about divorce is starting up, like getting an apartment. like
you're in college.
I romanticize about that, like getting a new stereo.
Just you and Bed Bath & Beyond, just with your cart going, I can get caramel flavored candles if I want. And I can have a black leather couch again.
Oh, my daughters would hate me. If we got divorced, it would be such a bad.
That, I got to say, that is the worst thing. Obviously, my son was like 2. He doesn't even remember his mom and I together. And my current wife, we've been married for 15 years. So it's not even like, there's like not even, he doesn't remember anything. But even then, like, and it was, that was the one thing we both said is like, we're not going to fuck this up. We're going to make a great kid. He, at 10, all his friends started getting divorced, and he kind of went through it then. They're like, well, wait a minute. Your parents hate each other and they're fighting. And maybe is that part of my existence? So even at 10, he was like, what does this mean? Like, does Basil love me? Does Shauna love me? And like, So there's no way to get out of it. There's no way to get out of it clean.
You grew up in LA?
I did. I grew up in the Valley in San Fernando.
For real?
Yeah.
Wait until you die.
Even more. Yeah. I never get out. Even further north and east of here, man. Yeah. I did the city of San Fernando.
Were your parents in the business?
No, nobody. My dad is the first person in my entire lineage to go to college.
Really?
And so, yeah. And he went to Occidental College, which is where I ended up going. Just, because why not? He went there and I only applied to one place. I was so like not aware of anything. And he was in PR his whole life and in politics. And so I didn't have anybody in the business. In fact, when I started out, I thought, oh, maybe I'll be a stand-up. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think I'd tell you a funny story that happened to me at a party the other night. So anyway, and then I thought, well, maybe I'd be an actor. So I took theater and did improv, and I was good at improv and good at telling stories, but I'm not a good actor by any stretch. I'm so bad that in Big Daddy, Adam Sandler wrote the Jon Stewart part.
Yeah.
For me, literally words, because he's always such a mensch and gives people shots, and dialogue that I had said, and I read it. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Just say it like yourself. And I'm like, I'm trying to say the words I said before aren't coming out the same. And it was so bad that Dennis Dugan, who directed it, sent it to Amy Pascal, and she was hysterically crying. She called me. She goes, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life." I was like, "I know. I'm not an actor." But the funny thing was, the other day I had a party. I think I had a 4th of July party.
Yeah.
A party. I had a bunch of friends over, and a really good friend of my wife's brought her teenage kids over. They live in Los Feliz, and they're all sitting around in the fire pit, and I'm standing up and I'm telling a story, and one of the 18-year-olds goes, "You know who you remind me of? Bert Kreischer." And I'm like, "Shut up." I go, "I can die happy right now." And by the way, I didn't have my shirt off, which would have been an easier, just the way I was telling the story. And I'm like, that is fucking amazing. That's how I was the biggest compliment I could have gotten.
So wait, tell me, I know we were working together, but tell me your path in Hollywood.
My path in Hollywood? What?
Because I'm always fascinated. We had this conversation the other day before we walked into some meeting, and I was saying, like, I'm always fascinated, like, how people succeed in Hollywood.
Right.
Like, it's so fucking hard.
It is so hard.
I just got confident in this business, like comfortable in this business,
right?
Like a year ago.
Congratulations. I'm still not comfortable, so that's great.
Yeah, for the first time, I'm like, I passed on a project the other day.
What?
Yeah, I was like, they were like, hey, it's a straight offer, 13 episodes. And I was like, I'm going to pass. And they were like, really? I was like, I don't want to do it.
It's interesting. And I, like, every stand-up I know that has a successful career as an actor always says the same thing of, I can go back. I can take a microphone and go to a club and make that's a great backstop to have that talent.
It's a good foundation. It's huge. Like you can't, because Patrice O'Neill gave me a speech one time. When I had been doing stand-up for like a year and 6 months maybe. And maybe tops 2 years. And I got a deal at CBS, and I got a deal at Fox at the same time. A deal for a TV show, and then a deal for production for a sitcom. And I was like, I made it. Like this, like I don't even know why I'm doing stand-up now. I made it. Like this is it. And Patrice was like, what sucks is you don't realize that when that all goes away, you go back to right where you are right now.
Right.
Where you were 2 days ago when you had nothing, you go right back to there. And I remember thinking he's just jealous. And then it all went away. And I was like, I remember sitting in Pan Pacific Park going like, what the fuck do I do?
Right.
Like I got money, but like I have no path.
Right.
And I literally like went crawling back to stand up like, this is what I loved the first time. Do you guys remember that? I had to start off at host. I had to, like TV shows, and I had to go back to hosting. I hosted for Drew Carey.
Right.
And but I'm always fascinated by your side of the business.
Right.
So I was so enamored when I was younger. I was so enamored by anyone who knew how to act in a meeting, anyone who knew how to pitch something, anyone who knew how to make something.
Yeah, me too. So so I grew up in San Fernando. I went to John F. Kennedy High School in San Fernando, and like I said, the first thing I love architecture. I love residential architecture specifically, and I thought, well, maybe I'll be an architect.
Yeah.
And so I went into a drafting class. And it was me and like three dorky dudes.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, get the graph paper out and the ruler and draw a line that's. I was like, fuck this. What the fuck is this? This is terrible. And a buddy of mine goes, dude, you know, because he was a big pothead and I didn't want to ever work. He goes, dude, you got to come to this. It's the same period as this drafting class. It's fucking this improv class, dude. The chicks are ridiculously hot. You got to come. Like, I'm done, out, I'm in. I don't care. Say no more. Bailed, went to this improv class. And I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And all the yes and exercises and everything. And I was like, good at it. I mean, I would jump in. I didn't give a shit. I was like being as big and loud as I could. And I remember then I kind of was like acting up a little bit. I was class clown, by the way, in my senior year, but this is like in my sophomore year. And the teacher, Mrs. Peterson, I'll never forget, she goes, why do I feel like I'm going to be saying goodbye to you today? And I was like, oh shit, like this, I want this. Like I felt that was the first time in a class where I was like, whoa, don't kick me out. And so then I just worked really hard in theater, wrote improv, wrote sketch, directed a bunch of plays. I was in a bunch of plays, and just that laughter when you got to laugh, especially with something you wrote, was phenomenal. And then I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll be a director. So then I went to Occidental College. They have no film. It's a tiny little school in New York. They don't even have a film department. Took a bunch of independent studies, and then I happened to get this internship at Pacific Bell. They were doing a bunch of industrials, and then I learned how to be an editor. So I was an editor first.
Really?
Yeah. So they taught me.
I think that's one of the greatest fucking skills.
Totally.
Dude, editing changed my career.
Yeah.
Because I was working for Travel Channel, and you can shoot all you want. You can shoot such cool, but unless you know how to get it onto a computer, edit it down, and make it presentable for someone to it's
especially in comedy, because any comedy movie, the pacing of the comedy, the way that you can fuck a joke up, you can cut a joke wrong. You know, we just had a preview of this little family movie that we did with John Cena, and you know, the first cut, the editor had cut it like an action movie, because she's more of an action editor than a comedy editor. And I'm like, this is just not getting it's not hammering as much. These big physical gags aren't hammering as much as they should. And then when you just open it up and you look at it and you go, oh, this is why. Oh, wow. You're setting up, you're seeing what he's going to slam into before. It's like just the way you can manipulate the frame.
Wow.
And then you get a huge laugh. Same footage, same thing. Had you not taken the time to re-edit it, then you would not get that laugh. So anyway, so I started off as an editor, and then I kind of figured out, well, man, I'm just getting further and further away from my goal, because I thought I want to make movies. I was cutting commercials and music videos and in these industrials at the time, which were huge. And I just said, I'm getting further and further away from making movies.
How old were you at the time?
I was probably 21. God. Well, all through college. So what I did was, I have a double major in economics and art. I mean, which is film in quotes, and so all through college I edited, and because it was a new system, this Ampex ACE system, which now eventually becomes the Avid. It was a computer-based system. I had long hair, I never wore shoes, and I edited for Playboy. I edited for all the because I would work at night, and not that many people knew how to work the system, so I was working my ass off.
Really?
And then I thought, well, okay, I want to be in the movie business. It's a business, so I'll go get my business degree. So I got a job at Wells Fargo Bank downtown, worked at Wells Fargo 6th and Grand, put on a gray flannel suit, went through personal banking school that they send you to school, which is basically like a mini MBA. Thought, all right, then I'll just go to Stanford, get my MBA, because it's kind of Occidental, Wells Fargo, Stanford was kind of a pretty direct line. And right as all that was going down, my dad, who knows nobody in the business, is playing golf over at Lakeside over here. And he's playing golf with this dude who ran finance for Paramount Domestic Television, and said, I have this job as an accountant on the Arsenio Hall show. Your son sounds perfect for it. Like I knew how to edit. I had production experience. I worked as a banker. It looked like I had lived my whole life for this dumb job.
Yeah.
I took the job, drove onto the lot, and I said, I'm never looking back. And so then after being an accountant on the Arsenio Hall show, I figure out what this job is, called a creative executive. And I'm like, that fucking sounds great. It's creative and executive. That's a perfect job.
Yeah.
So I went to a store. I realized you have to learn how to read scripts. I'd never seen a script, because back then nothing was online. You had to go to Samuel French and get scripts. I'd never read a script. So I found out there was at UCLA Extension. There was a class called Story Development. I went and took the class, which was taught by Bob Greenblatt, who's now the chairman of Warner Brothers. He taught the class. He was a story editor for Lorimar at the time, and I learned how to read scripts. And then I became an assistant at Sony Columbia Pictures at the time, making $400 gross a week.
Wait, hold on. How did you go from all the way up to right back down?
I just kept going back. You just said, because I realized I didn't have any of the skills. I had skills, but not the skills needed to do the creative executive job. So my dad, he paid for my college education. He's like a pretty middle-class guy. Every job I was making markedly less money. Like as an editor, I was making good money. Then I went to the bank, I was making less money, but at least my dad goes, we are a bank. And then as an accountant, I made less money. And then $400 gross a week, I go, well, this is the bottom. My dad was losing his mind. And then after being an assistant for 18 months, I got a job at Walt Disney Pictures the Walt Disney Company as a creative executive. And I was there for 10 years and became co-president of that place after 10 years. That's like my weird bell curve, which just goes in the wrong direction.
Wait, where were you living at these different times?
So,
because that's the funnest part. I mean, you lived in Hollywood.
Yeah,
at the funnest.
Never lived in Hollywood, by the way.
For real?
No, never in the city of Hollywood. So when I was at an editor, I was living in Pasadena because that's where it was, and Occidental is kind of over there. And then, like I said, I grew up in San Fernando. And then when I moved back, I lived here in the Valley. I lived in Studio City. I lived in Sherman Oaks. I just kind of pinged around. I was here in the '94 earthquake.
Really?
In Sherman Oaks. My house got red tagged. What's red tagged? I was renting. The thing came apart. It was on stilts up here, just south of Ventura, and the earthquake just ripped the thing apart. It literally came apart.
How much worse was it than the earthquake we had the other day?
10,000 times worse.
Oh, really?
I didn't even feel the earthquake we had the other day. I think I told you this. Like, I was in my house, didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And I know I saw your post about it. And
I was just about to do an Instagram post and an earthquake started.
Not even close. Like, dude, you can't even believe it. And I was here in 71 too, and that earthquake in San Fernando.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 53.
God, I thought you were my age.
Yeah.
46.
Wow.
Same.
Yeah, same. So it's all downhill from 45 anyway. So
my wife's already talking about getting a 1-story house so that we won't be able to get up and down stairs. I'm like, fuck off. I was like, that's that whole idea. We just went on a hike, and the whole hike I was like, I'm not ready to retire. Like, I don't know what fucking world you live in.
Right. I think about this all the time. I think about, like, I was just listening to something about people saying you got to save money for retirement. And I'm like, I don't have any money for retirement. Like, well, I got to keep going. I literally have to keep going till like I'm drop.
Yeah, I don't
know what else. And then I have insurance for everybody else. But for me, I'm going till literally they put me in the hole.
I said to Segura there's a while ago, we were talking about making money. I said, man, if I can get just like 4 more years of this, I'm good. Like, I'll be happy. And Segura goes, what do you mean? I go, well, the girls will be in college. I'll get, and then I can kind of downsize. I don't have to worry. And he's like, oh my God. And I can see it in his eyes. I go, why? And he goes, I have 21 more years of this. I go, yeah. He goes, I got to make this money for 21 years.
I will say I have a 1-story house. I have a mid-century, and I love it. I love not having stairs.
I've never had stairs.
No, I'm telling you, stairs are a pain in the ass. They really are.
Yeah.
It's so much better for a lot of different reasons.
Have you ever lived at the beach?
Yeah, I live in Malibu. I
live in Malibu now?
No. So right when I got divorced, I moved to Malibu Road.
Shut up.
Got a house on the beach.
That's a fucking...
It was insane. It was really fun. Yeah, it was good. That was a good time. And that house had stairs. But yeah, I now live in Brentwood. Once I got just the heat from the Valley. When I lived in the Valley, did you see this Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin movie?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
So I lived in the Valley all through, I was born in 65 and I lived there until, 20 years ago. And the smog, I'm sure it's going to affect me for the rest of my life. We'd swim in the pool. My dad would put so much chlorine and acid in it because there's a bunch of fucking teenage boys stinking up the place. And then the smog, like your lungs would hurt, you'd be dying, your eyes would be stinging. Oh, yeah. So I had to get out of the Valley just for that reason. Now it's beautiful. Now it's like coming back. Yeah. Ventura's great.
I would love to live in Malibu.
It's great. Living in Malibu is great, but the problem is what you realize is it's an island. Like if PCH something happens, like there's a horrific wreck, or when I was living there, the big mudslide happened. You're fucked.
My agent at the time, my agent was a guy named Andy Cohen.
Oh yeah, I know Andy.
And
I knew exactly where he lived. He lived right next door to Mark Gervitz.
Yeah.
Which then became Charlize Theron's house.
Really?
Well, that's how small of a town Malibu is. You know where everybody lives. But yeah, I remember his house, that one story right there.
Yeah.
It's either Carbon or whatever that beach is.
He's just every weekend he'd be like, "Hey man, come out. We'll have a party."
Yeah.
Every fucking weekend.
Well, that was the thing that was so amazing when I was there for 3 years. And then every Thursday night or Friday morning, my buddies would come up literally with a wheelie bag. Like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" "Just going to check out the parties, man. Don't worry. I probably won't even stay here." And I wake up to be 19 people in my house, laying on every flat surface, when I didn't have my son. So people do. It's just, you never have to go. That is the one thing when you live in Malibu, you never have to leave. Everybody comes to you.
I would love that. I want my wife. I played tennis with this guy, Marty. I wish I could remember his name, his last name. He was, maybe Shear. No, that can't be right. But Marty, he was. There was a TV show called "Get Me Out, I'm a Celebrity" or something, or "Help Me Out."
Get me out of here. I'm a celebrity.
The first season, they ruined all the footage. They something happened to all the tapes. Marty fixed it. His name was Marty the Magician.
Wow,
that was what they called him. He fixed tapes and
right.
He's an editor. He sold tapes. I don't even know what he did.
He would basically recover data that was compromised.
We played tennis every day together for about 2 years, and like a month, 2 months in, he's like, "I'm getting a divorce." I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Let me tell you something. It's very, very important." I wish I hadn't told all this information about him, because if he's still alive, he's going to hate this story. But he goes, "It's very important," because him and his wife got back together.
Oh, no.
He goes, "It's very, very important that you and your wife talk about how you want to retire." And I went, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what's the difference?" He goes, "Well, my wife wants to spend time with our grandkids." And I said, "And you?" And he goes, "I want to be on a boat with hot young chicks."
I don't know that that's a conversation you can ever have that's going to end well, by the way. You may as well not have it.
So he got a divorce and he bought a boat, and every weekend, him and his buddies would go out to Catalina every fucking weekend.
That's amazing.
And then they got back. He got rid of the boat. They got back together. Dude, one of my favorite Marty was like he was like just one of those older Jewish guys,
right,
from Hollywood. We played at the Beverly Hills Country Club. We played tennis every single day.
Right.
So we go into the locker room one time, and my back was hurting. He goes, get in this whirlpool. I said, "I don't have a bathing suit." And he goes, "You don't need a bathing suit. This is an old Jewish country club. You think anyone's cares if you get in a bathing suit? Take your clothes off, put them in a locker, dry off, put the clothes back on, drive home." And I was like, "Okay." So I get naked, I put my clothes in the locker, get in the whirlpool. I'm there for like 2 minutes, and 3 men in bathing suits get in.
Oh no!
I'm totally
now
naked.
you're trapped.
I'm like, "Oh God!"
Oh, shit.
So I had to sit in the whirlpool until they got out, praying the bubbles didn't get off.
Did your back finally feel better?
No, I was so panicked the whole fucking time.
Tensed up. I'll tell you, I had a boat when I lived in Malibu.
Shut
also,
the fuck
yeah,
up.
I had a boat, and I'll tell you, this is exact true story. I had this whole vision, man. It's in the marina. I'm gonna bring my boat. I'm gonna put my boat anchor.
Is there a marina out in Malibu?
There's a marina in Marina Del Rey. So I would go get my boat, drive it up to Malibu. I would anchor it, dude, and then we would swim around. I'd have chicks out there. It'd be great, blah, blah, blah. So I have my boat. That
is my dream.
I know, but I never fucking do it. It's a pain in the ass. I have to get the boat cleaned. But driving up there, it's a pain in the ass, blah, blah, blah. So my wife she was then my girlfriend. Like the second weekend she's spending at my house, I'm like, dude, this is the fucking time. This is everything I fucking dreamed of. So I go get the boat. Oh, I was supposed to get my kid the next day. So I drive my car to the marina, get in the boat, now my car's in the marina, bring the boat up, anchor the boat, have a few drinks. All night I'm laying in bed going, a fucking wave's gonna come get this boat and drive it right through anchor's gonna pull up. Did I set the anchor right? I got the fucking lights on. Someone's gonna slam into it. I can't sleep. Then I realize I don't have my car. I have to go pick my kid up at 8:30. So I go, fuck. I get up at 6 a.m. Don't tell my girlfriend. I go, how am I going to do this? I don't have a dinghy. I got to swim out to my boat. So how am I going to do that? I have car keys and a wallet and a shirt. I'm going to go to my ex-wife's house wet. I go, how am I going to do this? I get a Ziploc bag. I I put all my keys, my wallet, my shirt in the Ziploc bag. I then take the thing, I zip it close, and I go, what the fuck? How am I going to swim? Now, by the way, it's all kind of, kelp and shit out there too.
Yeah.
6 a.m. I go, all right, I put it in my teeth. So I got to keep my head above water, and I'm swimming. I get about 40 yards out. By the way, you have to keep the boat 150 yards out legally. So I'm like swimming out there, and suddenly I realize it's 6 a.m. Nobody knows I'm out here. I'm by myself. It's dead calm. I'm for sure going to get eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
And then no one's going to know. And they're going to think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, she definitely killed him. Like, what the fuck? So I'm swimming out, and I shit you not, for me, 10 yards out, a fucking sea lion pops its head up through the kelp and looks at me. I Fred Flintstone it. Dogging paddling as fast as I can. I get on the boat, heart's beating. I get on the boat. I go, I'm fucking selling this boat. This is ridiculous. Fuck this boat. I drove it back to the marina, put it for sale.
Are you serious?
Never used it again. Like, this is the worst idea. What the fuck am I doing out here? This is terrible. Drove back. Had to go all the way down the marina, anchor the goddamn thing. By that time, it's 7:15. Get in my car. I'm like, this is bullshit. I have a beach house. Fuck it. I sold my boat.
God, that's my dream. That's my dream.
It's a good dream till you're out there in the middle of the morning going, I'm going to be murdered right now by a shark.
All my friends started getting hobbies, like Rogan's out an archer.
Right.
Ari just backpacks and disappears and goes traveling. Segura collects expensive cars, and I'm like, I don't have any hobbies. My hobbies are all focused on the industry.
Yeah, you play tennis, you scuba dive, you do a lot.
No, that's all from
and you play golf.
I starting playing golf again because I haven't played in forever. But but then I'm in Australia and I'm gonna get a fucking sailboat. I'm gonna start sailing.
That's not a hobby.
That's a fucking lifestyle.
It's a commitment.
Oh, so I tell my wife, fuck the rental. She wants to get a house in the mountains. I go, fuck that. We're getting a sailboat. She's like, we're not getting a fucking sailboat. And I go, no, we're getting a sailboat. Oh, God. I go, we'll get a timeshare. Can you get a timeshare on a sailboat?
Sure.
Only get.
There's a reason why.
Yeah, they're
nobody
expensive as shit.
Yeah, nobody wants to have it full time.
Nobody.
So why you rent one? You can go down to the marina and rent a sailboat anytime you fucking want.
I had such a vision of this. And then the other day I just said, I'm never fucking home. What am I going to sell? I'm on tour all of the fall.
Yes.
And so I was like, I'll just go get a fucking guy who knows how to sail a sailboat and take me and my family out for the day.
Yeah. And you'll get 3 hours in and be like, this blows. Like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's go back. And by the way, you would be on tour and you get the call like, oh man, you got to get this bottom clean. There's shit going on. You got to get good. It's so much shit. And then by the way, just think about that. You're out in the ocean. You got to take a shit. Then you got to pump it. How are you going to do that? It's such a pain in the ass.
Such a fucking pain in the ass. How many lives do you think you've lived? Like
me?
Like meaning like there's like four. I can think of 5 versions of Bert.
Oh yeah.
Like I think of 5 lives where like I was on the hike today and I was like, oh, the younger me when I would hike, it was a very different.
Totally.
Like,
yeah. I mean, I've had single me, then like relationship me with my ex, and then married me, which is the worst version of myself with my ex, then single me again, which is pretty cool version of myself ish. And then the best version of myself being married to my wife. So I've had all those different versions. My wife and I were just talking about this last night, how much work I've done on myself to, because the business can piss you off, people can piss you off, and just living in that constant state of feeling angry and feeling betrayed and feeling like the world owes you something is a really shitty place to be.
Well, this business is so tough because it's not just like a regular job. It's like your dreams are attached to something.
Oh yeah. And your dreams are attached to it. And no matter what, you're creating art. You're creating something. You can only create it and then put it out into the world. Because if you just did stand up in this man cave by yourself and played it, it's not art. It's just
I've done that drunk.
But the second you put it out there, you're judged. Doesn't matter. Better there's people that love you and people are going to hate you. And so your dreams are attached to it. It's fucking hard, and people are judging you every second of every day for what you're doing.
So what was the first movie you made?
First movie I worked on was Father of the Bride.
First movie you worked on Father of the Bride?
Yeah, and I dated Kimberly Williams for a year. I was living the dream, man. I was living right over here, and they put her at Oakwood, which is on.
I know Oakwood.
It used to be Oakwood. Now it's something else. It was on Woodman, and Kim I met her right in that parking lot of that the Coldwater and Ventura that shopping whatever that is, the grocery store. And I had seen her do her audition tape. And I ran into her. I'm like, hey, I know you're new to LA. You want me to show you around? Borrowed my buddy's Porsche and took her around all day doing touristy stuff. And we dated on and off for that the entire movie and a little bit after.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. That was like
Father of the Bride.
First movie.
Such a great fucking movie.
Nancy Myers and Charles Shire are very talented. It was great.
So
Steve's the best. I worked on Father of the Bride with Steve Martin, Father of the Bride 2 with Steve Martin, and then a movie that he wrote and directed called Simple Twist of Fate. It's a little movie that he did. Very sweet movie. He's a genius. I wish he did more stuff. I mean, he's doing that great show with Marty Short, but I wish he did more movies.
Yeah, he is. Amazing. He really is.
And such a sweet man.
He might have done this business perfect.
He did. Did you ever read his book?
Yeah.
Did you listen to it on tape?
No.
Get it on tape.
Really?
Oh, it's the best.
Well, is it like my book on tape is 1,000,000 times better than my book because I can't read out loud.
Right.
So they left me cursing and losing my shit.
Oh, that's great.
So, and I don't make any money off of it now. I mean, it was like a flat rate, like a $10,000 buyout. But man, is he improv on it?
No, but he does play the banjo, and just hearing him tell the stories, just in his great voice.
I'm not good at meeting celebrities.
Really?
I'm not good. Like, I think I don't. I'll tell you what I don't do. The number one thing I don't do is I don't call people back. In general, or just celebrities? In general, okay. But especially with celebrities. Like Elliot Gould wanted to be friends with me, and I was like, okay, and then he gave me his number, and I was like, I'm not calling that number. And then he got my number and called me, and he was like, hey, I gave you my number. How come you didn't call me? And I was like, okay. And he was like, let's go to dinner. And I was like, sure. And I kept pushing that dinner off. It was giving me anxiety.
Is it just because you are uncomfortable around, or you have enough friends?
No, I don't have enough friends.
By the way, you have great friends. I don't have. You Instagram and talk about your friends all the time.
I have a bunch of friends,
comic friends.
But I think I always thought there was something expected of it, or like
right.
I was like,
it feels weighted.
Yeah, why do you want to be my friend?
Right. Like I feel that way about everybody. I just like, why do you want to be my friend?
Yeah, I feel like constantly I go, why do you want to be my friend? Like I remember. I mean, I've told this story before, but Rogan one night, I had a friendship that kind of went off the rails, and it didn't end very well. And I was very skeptical of making friends ever again. I was like, you know what? I don't need friends. I got my wife. I got my kids. That's all I really fucking need. I had Travel Channel.
Right. And they're stuck with me.
Yeah, they're stuck with me. And me and Segura and Ari and then Joey and Joe were doing a podcast. I think that's who was there. I can't remember. We used to do these podcasts at the Ice House on like Saturday nights.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we'd do it, and we'd all go do spots, and then we'd come back and we'd podcast. And so I go to do my spot. Joe's going up after me, and he comes up with two shots of Jack Daniels and 2 beers. He's like, hey. I was like, hey. And he goes, you're a really great guy. And I was like, thanks, man. You are too. And he goes, yeah. He goes, we're trying to be your friend.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
I go, yeah. And he goes, you need to like let us be your friend.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And he goes, no, man, we love you, and we think you're a great guy, and we're all trying really hard to be your friend, but you got to let us be your friend. And I was like, yeah, I know. And he goes, I don't think you're listening to me. And I was like, what? And he goes, we want to be friends. All of us want to be friends with you.
Right.
And I was like, okay. He goes, just let us. And I was like, oh,
it's good advice.
I was pushing people away from me.
Sure.
Like he'd call and or text and I just wouldn't reply.
There is a thing where if you're friends with celebrities and it's weighted in their favor, that's never great.
What is it?
So in other words, like if you're like, I don't know, I'm not friends. Like if Will Smith wanted to be your friend,
that's a very real thing,
right? You would
go
to
really
Will
wanted to be my friend.
Oh, but he's a great guy. But you would go to his house, and wherever you were, you'd be with Will Smith. It's a loaded, even though he's the best guy, is a loaded thing, right? So it's like if you were going to go play golf with Will Smith, you wait for Will Smith. You probably get there early.
Yeah.
Have your shit ready, and he'd show up. Be like, hey, man. I understand that. Like, I've been friends with Sandler for 25 years, and it's not loaded in the sense that anything's expected of me, but you're friends with Adam Sandler. Like, when you go out,
I couldn't be friends with Adam
He's
Sandler.
so famous, and he's the best guy, and by the most generous guy, and has helped me in my career in every possible way, personally, financially, and just in business in general, and taught me so much about this business. But he's fucking Adam Sandler. Like, you can't, like, when it's just he and I, like, when he was younger.
How did you meet him?
Oh, I was obsessed with him. So I loved Happy Gilmore. I loved it, and loved
Happy Gilmore. Such a great fucking movie.
Loved it.
The hardest I've ever laughed in a movie theater in my life.
He's amazing. And I just watched it the other night with my daughter because, we're all friends, and she sees him and doesn't understand how famous he is, or like the longevity. And she's a big Saturday Night Live fan, so started seeing him on Saturday Night Live. And she's like, "What? That's Adam." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And so we started going back and looking at his old movies. She's like, "Geez, he's amazing." But I was obsessed with him, and just in terms of, like, he's my age, and he was a comic that it's like you. I stalked you because it's just when I see somebody I just feel like I can connect with comedically, I stalk them. And so his agent at the time was Adam Bennett, who's a really dear friend of mine. And I called him, and he goes, "It's so weird that you're calling today because he has a pitch for a movie." And I go, "I'm in. I'm going to go." And I was working at Disney at the time, and Joe Roth had just become my boss. And I go, where do I got to go? He goes, "He's shooting The Wedding Singer in Hollywood. Go." And I drove there and sat in his trailer, and he pitched me The Waterboy. And he pitched me the whole thing.
Do it.
And I go, "I just have one question. Do you make a noise when you hit guys hard?" And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Like the noise you made when you hit Bob Barker makes me laugh every time."
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay." And I go, "I'm in. I'm done." I drove back to the studio, went into Joe Roth's office, and I said, "I just heard this pitch. Here's the pitch." And he goes, "If you can do it for less than $25 million, you can make it." I know. That was back in the day. I go, "Holy shit," called it Adam Bennett back. And Sandler and I have been really close friends ever since. And I've done 13 movies with him. He's either as a movie, as an actor, or as a producer. And he's awesome. But I understand it because when it's just he and I, and we're at like somewhere, it's chill. It's like in a trailer or somewhere. But when you're out, you're always painfully aware you're friends with Adam Sandler because the entire world is watching, coming up to him, and you just become invisible.
I saw him walking when I first started doing stand-up. I saw him walking down, I think it was in the Village. I used to live in between on West 3rd. I saw him walking down West 3rd with his parents.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I go, "Adam Sandler, you fucking rock." And he was like, "Oh, thanks, man." It was, and just walked past
He's
him.
the nicest man. I'll tell you another funny, my favorite celebrity moment of just that really crystallized everything for me. I was at the what was that place called that Dan Aykroyd owned that was on Sunset?
House of Blues?
House of Blues. I was at House of Blues with George Clooney and Noah Wyle. And it was right after the first season of ER. And so we're in a booth. I'm in the horseshoe. I'm in the middle. George is on the right of me and Noah's on the left. And there is a phalanx of girls, 8 or 9 deep. And they are not paying attention. And I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. I feel like I'm in a zoo right now. And I said to George, I go, "You know what? I could light myself on fire right now." And not one of these girls would notice. It was like, I'm the most invisible I've ever been I couldn't believe it. No matter what, nothing. They were just focused on those two. It was
I think
really
I could be
humbling.
good friends with George Clooney.
He's the best guy.
I think for some reason, because he doesn't seem like Adam Sandler doesn't seem like a celebrity, but I couldn't be friends with Adam Sandler. I think it would be too tough on me. Like, I just would be like, but like George Clooney, I could definitely.
There's literally nobody nice. Again, another guy who really I owe so much to, taught me so much. I've told this story before. I was having a really tough time, and I was at Disney, and somebody fucked me over, and I was like bummed out. And George and I were hanging out back then, and I called him and I go, "Listen, man, you've been in this business a long time. I just got totally fucked over on this thing." And I told him what it was, and he goes, "Oh man," he goes, "You understand? I used to lose so many roles to this guy and that actor and this actor. And he goes, and now I'm Batman. And he was playing Batman at the time. And I go, that's true. And he goes, just keep your head down, man. Do your own thing. Don't worry about it. You're great. You're going to be fine. This goes on for about 25 minutes. We're talking. Thanks, man. I feel better. All of a sudden I hear somebody go, Mr. Clooney, we need you right now. And I go, are you on set? And he goes, yeah. And I go, are you wearing the bat suit right now? And he goes, yeah. And I go, that is a good fucking friend to literally be in the bat suit and be talking to this dumb kid about his dumb, whatever his dumb little crisis was. And he's sitting in the bat suit having this. He's the best guy. Such a good dude. I could
never even make that. Like, that's my problem with I say I couldn't be friends with Adam Sandler only because I would feel like I was bothering him.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like any of my really close friends, I don't feel like I'm bothering when I call them. I feel like, I don't have a problem.
I was probably bothering him, by the way.
No. Ari and I were talking about this one day. You're friends with someone when you don't mind calling them twice.
Right.
Like, or texting them a number of different texts. Go, hey, fucking text me back, asshole.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to think of, like, I just have avoided celebrities entirely, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Only because it's like,
I understand that. I understand. Look, it's daunting. I mean, because it's also daunting especially if you see somebody on a movie screen and then meet them because, they're 40 feet wide and then you meet them and you're like, oh my God, there they are. They're right in front of me. And that's why I think TV stars always had it a little rougher because people always would come up like, hey, dude from Friends, I know you. You're in my living room every Thursday. Yeah, let's hang out. And so it is daunting when you see those movie stars. You're like, holy shit! Like Tom Cruise, it's insane when you meet him.
I bumped into him.
He turns the light on you, and you're like, oh my God! Dude, it's like God is. Like,
I met him at the premiere for Magnolia. And remember Magnolia, his hair was like long.
Yeah.
And I bumped into him and I turned around and he smiled at me and I was caught off guard and I just said, you have beautiful hair.
This is funny. My wife did my wife is funny because she grew up like two people. She's had this experience. One is John Cusack and one is Cruise. And the first was Johnny Cusack, really good buddy of mine, been friends for a long time. He lived on Malibu Road too. And I lived closer to town than he did. So he'd always stop at my house, come in, hang out, and he'd wear the black trench coat and come out. And every other time I've ever been with anybody and cute Johnny walks in, girls are like, oh my God. My wife was completely immune. It's like, hey, she was like, what the fuck is he coming over at 10:30 at night? I go, it's his buddy. He's like, hang out. And it just goes on and on. It's starting to bother me. And I go, have you ever seen Say Anything? And she goes, no. And I go, that's the reason. You're his kryptonite.
Yeah.
We watched the movie like 3 years later and she goes, oh, I get it now. Thank God I hadn't seen it before. It's like literally she was like the one person who hadn't seen the movie and it was his kryptonite. Similarly with Tom Cruise, she goes, I don't know. He's fine. I saw Top Gun, whatever. I go, oh, trust me. So when we were doing Night and Day, I go, I'm telling you right now. She goes, I don't know. We go to dinner with Tom and he comes around the corner and just takes my wife's hand and looks into her and goes, oh, it's so nice to meet you. The whole night she stares at him. We get in the car. She's like silently numb. Like she's been like, and she just staring straight ahead. And she goes, I get it now.
Yeah. Oh, Tom Cruise. I remember I was watching, it might've been Night and Day. I was in a movie theater and I was with friends and I didn't even realize I said it out loud. I said, he did something like pined into the camera on screen. It's his face. And I go, he's worth every cent of $25 million. And they were like, wait, what the fuck did you just
Did you
say?
see this latest Top Gun 2 trailer?
No. Oh, yeah.
It's insane. It just gets you. I remember that feeling of being in that movie and being like, holy shit. And then you see it again and it brings you right back. He's incredible. And this guy does his own stunts. He's like, not flying the plane, but he's in that plane doing all that shit. At our age, or my age, you're younger than me. We just established.
So wait, when you worked at Disney, what was your job? What did you do?
Well, I was a creative executive. Then I was a director of development.
What does that mean, though?
Basically, you are the liaison between the movie and the bosses of the studio. Your job is to manage that movie.
Okay, let's
creatively
start,
and monetarily.
Pretend you're talking to an idiot,
right?
Okay, I don't even know. let's pretend. Let's do this. I have an idea for a movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make a movie. I have an idea. Who do I go see first?
Well, you would probably want to see a writer first and get, especially now, the studios really want, at the end of the day, what studios really want is you to have it all. I come in with a Bert Kreischer package with a script and a director. That's the best. Like when we went out and we pitched our show, we had you, we had a filmmaker, we had me, we had the rights, and we came in and said, we're going to be able to put this together for this amount of money. Do you want to do it? And we got a bite. And so
it's so funny. This whole time I just thought you could just have a good idea, like just go in and go, just, hey man, I got an idea, and people will be like, I want it.
Well, it depends on who you are. If you're just a person off the street, probably not. But you probably, because of who you are now, you could probably do that. But in general, at a studio, any studio, in Netflix included, there are creative executives. And the creative executives, their jobs are anything from creative executive to president of production. But they're all basically doing the same thing, which is managing the movies from the idea, the inception of the idea, whether that be an idea, an article, a script, a piece of IP, whatever it is, from the inception of that all the way through the marketing and distribution of the movie. The creatives stay with it. And they liaison with all the filmmakers. So in the early stages of development, like going from an idea, like if you said you had an idea, if you had a script, those you would find a producer, you would find a writer, and let's say you're the producer. Okay. You're the producer, the writer, and the creative executive team for that studio would band together and you would develop the script. Meaning you would keep working on the script until the studio felt it was ready to go to make the movie.
And is there someone at the studio that basically is holding the purse strings and goes?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be one person. Now it's 15 people. You know,
Really?
they have these green light committees. So basically, you develop a movie till it's ready to be made, and then they run these P&Ls, right? They say, okay, this action movie with this director and this star, we run comps, and there's a committee of people that are the green light committee that are generally the creative people, like the president of production. There's also business affairs because they're the people that are really responsible for the money and the profit and loss of that. There's marketing people generally in those meetings. There's international people, publicity. Everybody's in there weighing in saying, should we make this movie? We're about to spend X amount of millions of dollars to make this movie. So everybody has a vote. That's why movies that are getting made right now all kind of feel the same because, everybody's trying to hedge their bets. Everybody's trying to mitigate risk. So then all of these committees band together. And the only thing that get through are superhero movies and remakes and big pieces of IP because they seem the quote unquote safest. Yeah. And that seems like your risk is mitigated. So, it used to be back in the day, there was one guy who said, I'm going to go with my gut. I'm having my old boss, Joe Roth, on my podcast. And I've already recorded it, but it's going to be released in a little bit. And he used to be the guy. Like I said, I walked in with Waterboy and he goes, in his head, all right, I know what Adam Sandler
what was he? Okay, so what was he thinking in his head? Like when you said, I want to make Waterboy.
He did the math in his head. He goes, all right, Adam Sandler, I know what Adam Sandler movies do. I know what comedies do. The Kid's on the Rise. I know internationally it's not going to do football. It's not going to do that much. So I figure like if we make it for 25, movie will probably make 50. The movie made $185 million with 50. So that's 25 in rentals. That kind of gets us out. Then P&A is probably going to be another 30. So I figure with home video and TV and all the downstream, cycles, I think we can get out of it. I feel pretty safe at 25. Go do it. That fast. And it literally was faster than I could just in my head. He went, He does that math, did that math in his head. Now, you throw that movie in there and they go, well, what's the worst movie Adam Sandler's ever done? I don't know. Let's do the P&Ls. There's no foreign on this guy. International's like, I don't want to do this. There's no foreign. Well, you're going to stick me with this stupid movie? And then home video's like, well, home video's dead. There's so many people saying, and then they're running comps. So you have every comp from high to low, and everybody's
meaning, what do you mean?
Comps are like, so for comps for the Waterboy, it would have been like other comedies, sports comedies, and you'd say, well, this sports comedy, made $5 million. The highest is 70, or it was probably 80 at the time, whatever. And you look at like Major League, that's probably the highest at the time.
Yeah.
And you'd run those comps, and they'd go, I don't know, I feel safe. The movie's probably gonna do 40. So you know what? We're not gonna be out. You make it for 20. That's generally what happens. And you go, all right, so you just lost $5 million going in. So you're now having to cut $5 million out of the budget. for no reason other than people want to feel safe and mitigate the risk. And if you have one guy, you're beholden to his gut. But if you have 15 people, there's a lot of ways things can go sideways, which is why more and more movies are starting to look the same.
So you guys make The Waterboy. Adam pitches it to you. You go back to Joe Roth. He says $25 million. You call Adam's agent.
Yeah.
They say, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yep. And he goes and writes the script.
And then he goes and writes the script.
Mm-hmm. At that time, he'd already said, look, I'm doing this movie with Frank Karachi, who did The Wedding Singer. I'm going to star in it. And I said, okay. We worked on the script together. And the only thing I really said to him, and we talked about this when he was on my podcast. He was, by the way, the best guy ever. He did my first podcast and launched me. But the only thing I said to him is he had that stutter. And I was very concerned of how long the movie was going to be, just because of the stuttering.
Yeah.
So I said, can you just do for me? I know I'm an asshole and I'm the studio executive. And I'm like, I know this is a studio executive thing to say, but can you just do one take where you don't stutter? So you'll do all your takes, but just do one for me. And he's like, fine. Very sweetly, you've been so great and everything else. Yes, I'll do one take without stuttering. First preview, man, 5 minutes in of him stuttering really hard, you could feel the audience just go, nope, I'm out. And he just turned to me, he goes, this preview doesn't count. We're going to re-edit it. And so we didn't even score it. We suffered through it because it was tough. I mean, it's hard to really watch someone struggle that hard. And then he went back and put a lot of takes in, mixed and matched, and
some stutter, some not stutter.
Yeah, and that's the movie. That's the movie we have today. So it's the only note I ever gave the guy. Once we started shooting.
Okay, so I'm fascinated by this. So especially because Waterboy was one of my favorite movies.
Oh, thanks.
So Waterboy, you guys go into production. Do you have other projects you're working on at the time?
Yeah. At the time, I had Con Air going. I had I can't remember what else I had going, but Con Air, I think Nothing to Lose. I had a slate of movies that we were shooting at the time. But I went out to Florida and watched him shoot, and and just trusted the kid. I mean, he had done Wedding Singer had come out at that point and done I think $60 million. So you could see he was starting to trend upwards.
Yeah.
And so I felt really really confident, and I loved the movie, as goofy as it was. And I, unabashedly love the movie.
Oh, everything he's ever done. I mean,
me too.
I took a meeting with Alan Covert.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I was like,
who is the caddy in the Wedding Singer? I mean, in Waterboy.
I was like, you couldn't, I was a little overwhelmed because I kept going. I'm in Adam's offices. If he walks in, it's going to be real. I'm going to lose it.
Those offices are so great.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, please let Nick Swartzen just walk in. So then you have a bunch of movies on your slate. Is it one of those things where you have to keep checking in, going, it's where you have to sell your people it's going good. We're really happy.
Oh, dude. Yes. And when the movie was done, we previewed great. But there was no indication of what was about to happen. But I believed in him, and I loved him, and I loved Covert, and I loved all of his crew in Karachi. I made a lot of movies with those guys. And Jack Garapito at the time was his producing partner. And I loved the trailer, and I loved the music in it. And we, at the same time, the studio had made Beloved with Oprah Winfrey.
What's Beloved?
It's a movie from a very, very popular novel that Oprah Winfrey produced.
Yeah.
And the studio loved this movie. And my boss at the time had just been fired. And I was becoming clear that I probably ultimately was going to get the job with Nina Jacobson, who's one of my partners.
I pitched a movie to Nina Jacobson
awesome.
once.
She's the best.
That was the best pitch I ever had in my life.
She's the best. And so it was becoming clear. And so the new boss, this guy, David Vogel, he loved Beloved. He was he had come from up through the Walt Disney side. So he was so into Beloved, and just up Oprah's ass, and just everything was Oprah. And by the way, Oprah's great, but it's a movie. And I have Waterboy, and I'm like, whatever. And so I remember we're in a staff meeting, and one of the distribution guys is there, and I'm talking about the Waterboy, and he's like, all right, whatever. And I go, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you $1,000 that the Waterboy opens bigger than Beloved. And he goes, done. Oprah Winfrey at the time could not be bigger. She's talking about every day on her show. And I'm like, all right, $1,000. Shook hands. Go to the premiere in New York. And I think it was Waterboy, and then 2 weeks later, Beloved was going to come out. and go to the premiere in New York. And the guy walks out of the premiere, who didn't work on the movie, is now my new boss for a minute, and sat right there, and he looks at me and goes, wow, we've sunk to a new low. And I go, fuck you. In my head, I'm like, fuck you. Watch. I'm telling you this movie's going to be huge. It opens to $40 million on a $25 million investment. And then I go fly back to LA, and in the only time this has ever happened to me, it's 7:30 in the morning. I'm in my little rental house, and I get a phone call, and it's Michael Eisner's assistant. And she's like, I have Michael Eisner for you. And I'm, holy shit, 7:15 in the morning. I'm like, okay. Hey, I'm trying to like pump myself up like I've been up for 2 hours. I go, hey, Michael. And he goes, man, an unbelievable opening. Like that. Thank you. That was incredible. Like we should make more movies like that. And I'm like, okay, give me the ball. Let's do it. Walk into the next thing. 2 weeks later, Beloved opens to like 4. So I think Waterboy made more money in its opening week than Beloved did total. The guy wrote me a check for $1,000 and then he was fired. Yeah, 23 million total of box office. And so he paid me the $1,000 and like a couple months later was fired, and then Nina and I got the job.
Shut up. So like, okay. So when a movie makes 40 million, does Adam Sandler have points on that movie?
Oh yeah.
Do you have points on the movie?
No. I mean, I worked for the studio.
So you just get a flat salary.
Yeah, I got a bonus because the movie did so well. My movie made everybody, because that was also the height of home video, and Adam was, he wasn't the mega star that he ultimately became, because then he went right from that and did Big Daddy, and then we had him back, and then we kept switching, and then Joe and started Revolution Studios, and then we did Click with him, Anger Management with him. So and he did Deuce Bigelow with us, Master of Disguise with us. He made a lot of movies with us.
Really?
And so I mean, he's just the guy. He's so fucking talented. And even like this new thing he did, this 100% Fresh, I'm so proud of him. I think it's one of the best things.
Stand-up special?
Yes.
His stand-up special is phenomenal.
I think it's one of the best things he's ever done. And he's 50 years old. It's fucking crazy.
It's phenomenal. It's a great special. And I went into watching it going, I won't be able to sit through this. He hasn't been doing it that much. He can't just, because I saw him do stand-up one night at the Improv, and it was so rough because he was like, he hadn't done it. He had said that. He was like, yeah. He was talking about cuddling with his bulldog. Yeah. And he was like, I'd rather cuddle with my bulldog than my wife, or something like that. And he was like, you could tell he was like sheepish on stage.
I went to a very early show, and he said the same. It was like very rough, and he's like, I'm trying some new stuff out. I don't know what I'm going to do. He played like one song. So I'll do you one better. You saw it on Netflix by yourself, probably.
Yeah.
And we're worried. I was in the editing room. He called me and goes, I want you to come see this. And I'm like, oh no. Because like he hadn't done it, and I'd seen it. I'm like, what is it going to be? I hope it's good. I'm very honest with him. I would tell him what I thought. I always do. And I go to my wife. I go, you got to come with me. She goes, why? I go, because I don't know. You were at that show. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it just going to be like him? I don't know. I've cried. I literally cried.
It was so
I
good.
cried after. I was blown away by how good it was.
Yeah, I was really, and I'm like, I just expected less, because I was like, well, he hasn't done it in forever.
Yeah.
How's he gonna?
Right.
But man, it was so fucking good.
Yeah. And it's funny because Kevin James is a good buddy of mine. He called me and he goes, God damn it. I can't just walk out on stage with a microphone now. What am I going to do? This is killing me. What am I going to do? Like, I know you can't ever, but like, this is the thing about him. Like we're talking about him again, but like he would have these Christmas parties and play for 2 hours straight songs with bringing on musicians, Eddie Van Halen and different people and Billy Idol. And he's a savant. He's incredible.
He really is. God. Yeah. So when you're an executive, you just get a salary.
Yeah.
You get bonuses.
That's it. You get salary and stock and bonuses. And so, back in the day when I was doing it, you figured you were going to do it for a year or 2 years, and then you'd be a producer. Now, people, those jobs are the jobs to have, and people have them for 10, 15 years now.
Really?
They don't want to do what I'm doing, where you just, living, movie to movie.
I think that would be, development is my favorite part.
Yeah.
Of anything.
Editing is my favorite.
Oh,
editing.
I want to make a movie. Like I like.
Okay, let's make a movie.
I feel like I want to make a movie. I feel like I should definitely make a movie while I'm out here. I mean, I think I got time. Like I don't.
You should look. you should definitely make a movie, but you could be in a movie too. I'm sure you could be cast in a movie.
Can I tell you something honestly? Unless it's my project,
Okay.
I feel like I am wasting my life immeasurably.
Really?
Just acting. Like I've acted in a bunch of stuff, and I feel like I am wasting my life.
You know, what's so funny is Kevin James felt like you did. I stalked him like I stalked you and Sandler. And honestly, must have pitched him 20 movies, and he would never bite ever. And then finally I found something he liked, and Joe greenlit it. And he goes, no, what? No, slow down. He was so like you. Like, I just want to do my own thing. And then Hitch came along, and then he did Hitch.
God,
and
he was so fucking good in Hitch.
And then he changed his whole attitude about like, okay, there are things I could do. And then he and I started doing a bunch of stuff together. But like, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, wait for the right thing. You're doing great.
I like doing things that I'm a part of, that I'm like a creative part of. Anything other than that, like I did this thing recently, and I had to be in makeup, and it like a lot of makeup, and I was more interested in how they were lighting it than what I was doing. I was like, I wanted out of there so fucking bad. I was like, I'm wasting my life. I should be with my kids. Like, because I love stand-up so much that checks all the boxes for me creatively. I don't need to do anything other than stand-up, honestly. I mean, like, obviously, if Adam Sandler's like, hey, I want you to be in a movie, I'd be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. And I'm sure, but like, Segura did this fucking movie with Mark Wahlberg, and I was like, he told me how much money he made, and he had to work there for a month. I go, Tom, we make that in a show. Like, why the fuck would you do that? And he was like, oh, that's a good opportunity. I was like, yeah, but like, you're there, you're in Atlanta for a fucking month? Like, I could not wrap my head around
it. It is hard.
Dude, I did a voiceover? It's the biggest mistake of my fucking life. I was always wanted to be a voiceover artist. I was like, show up in a pair of sweatpants.
Right.
At the end, I offered to pay them the money back that they paid me and repay for them to get someone else to do it because I hated it so much.
And it's not just once. You have to go back in.
You're there again, 5 fucking times.
And again, yeah. And re-recording the stuff you already did and adding little things to it.
It was a really great experience, and I'm very grateful for
it is
to do that. I'm not. If they're listening to this, I don't want to shit on the opportunity, but it was just a lot more work than I anticipated.
It's a grind.
For me to do stand up, it's just so easy. It's like so like in my comfort zone of what I like doing,
and you're great at it. And it's also fresh and different because each audience is different, and you get to put different spins on.
I like pitching.
You're good. You're great at that too.
I know. I enjoy that. I enjoyed. I'm
just thinking about the grind of making a movie, and I'm about to go to Australia for 3 months. Did you go down to Adelaide or South Australia at all?
No.
You were just in Sydney.
What are you doing in Australia?
I'm doing Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be there for 3 months. So I just wanted to know, like, I'll be there every day.
Where are you shooting it in one place?
Yeah, Adelaide, which is
Adelaide.
South
I didn't
Australia.
go to Adelaide.
Okay, it's like wine country, I guess. I haven't been. I'm leaving, and I'm going to be there the whole time.
That noise? Is that the fan? Okay.
Speaking of the grind of being on set every day, I'll be in Adelaide for 3 months, not Atlanta for 1.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
God, Mortal Kombat in Adelaide. Can I tell you, I'm obsessed with this guy that lives in. It's called Exmouth. It's in. If you get an
Exmouth or Portsmouth?
No, I'll
Exmouth?
tell you. Yeah, I think it's Exmouth.
Well, I'm sure it
his
is.
His name's Brody Moses, I think is his name.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Did you hang out with him?
No.
You didn't call him back.
Oh no, I could be friends with him because he's just like an internet famous.
Oh, okay.
He's got.
I love all these rules you have about who you can be friends with.
I'm fucking broken as fuck. There's some people that they can't be friends with more people more famous than them.
Right.
I've met people like that where they need to be the most famous person.
Well, that's interesting.
Oh, that's unhealthy as fuck.
Ooh, yeah.
Like I like being around.
That seems like a really bad idea.
Like, but like if I got around David Spade and he was in the back of the store, I just listen. I'd be like ear to ear listening. Or like Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald fucking kills me.
Amazing.
He is the funniest fucking guy.
Yeah.
I think it's called it's above Perth.
Okay.
And so it's fucking gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and they go all this guy does is goes spearfishing every day
Oh wow.
with his dog. He's like the happiest fucking guy. It's like my wife says I'm a hedgehog. I don't know. She told me this today. A hedgehog is someone I don't know what the other one is. It's someone who can do one thing and that's all they do.
Okay.
And they just, my dad always says that. I remember one time I wanted to invest in a bar, and my dad goes, "Buddy, the fuck do you know about bars?" He goes, "You got really lucky. Whatever your fucking stupid little stories, people like them, and you're good at it." He goes, "Just make money doing the thing you're good at."
Right.
But this guy is that guy. This guy Brody is a hedgehog. He is good at just being very grateful and loving the ocean and spearfishing, and that's it. His girlfriend's gorgeous. His dog is fucking awesome.
I think about that. I just was on vacation in Bora Bora, and we did this jet surfboard thing. I couldn't do it. I was awful at it. It was, you had to like go and then stand up. The stand up part was really hard for me.
Yeah.
So I'm fat now. And so but he was out there and he had this Portuguese girlfriend, ridiculously beautiful, in the middle of this thing. And I'm like, man, that guy's got it figured out. You know, he just does this every day. And then like 3 days later, I saw him out there and I'm like, guy's still fucking out there doing that one thing. I don't think I could do it.
Can you turn that fan off? That's driving me.
I don't think I could do it. Like after about day 8, I'd be like, I have made a horrible life choice.
No, can I tell you? So when I was working on Travel Channel, there was a point in my tenure that I was doing so much dangerous shit that I was having PTSD. Like, and I used to fantasize about building fences. I was like, I'd look at guys building fences and I'd go, God, man, how nice would it be to just wake up and know I'm not going to die today doing what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just going to build a fence.
Right.
And when I get done that fence, I'm going to grab a 6-pack. I'm going to go home. I'm not going to think about the fence all night.
Perfect.
I just know that when I wake up, I got to go build a fucking fence. I got so into that I started looking into like taking masonry classes. Like I was like, I wonder if I could, because they make good fucking money.
I'm sure.
Dude,
the craftsman.
skilled laborers.
Yes.
A mason makes 14. We're building a fence, oddly enough.
Right.
The guy's getting 14 grand for 2 days.
Wow.
14 grand for 2 days to make a fucking fence, just the length of our property. And I'm like, that's good fucking money.
That is.
But I guess then after a while, you're like, I'd be the fence guy going, okay, I have an idea.
Right.
And everyone's like,
I got to do something different, man.
I got to do something different.
Please don't just do the same fence. Please don't say chain link. Please don't say chain link.
Oh, another fucking chain link.
Damn it. I just want to do one.
There's no art in chain link fences. I can't put my thumbprint on it.
I'm telling you, every time I think because that's my fantasy is just go to an island and just do one thing every day. You'd go nuts.
I would definitely. I have so many like parallel universes where I see my life going.
Can you vacation?
Oh, hard as fuck.
Yeah, me too. I've gotten to a place where I can vacation now.
It takes me a little while.
Yeah.
But I'm still working. Like I'm not gonna, but I don't consider my work. Like right. We've been oddly enough on vacation for now. I think it was a total of 6 weeks.
I've been watching you.
Yeah.
You work your ass off. I mean, I know you love doing it, but
yeah.
You're on the gram all the time.
I love it.
Every time I open the Instagram, I go, oh, there's another story with Bert. I gotta watch what he's doing now. And he's hike with his daughters.
I enjoy, I bought a paddleboard we were at the lake house. I bought a paddleboard and then I bought a drone and I was like, I'm gonna fucking play around. I'm doing drone shots and I got this new Osmo action cam and I guess it's not shutting out totally, but I enjoy making videos and I enjoy putting them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so
well, you're also being aware of, I mean, I know a lot of people feel like, God, you know, you're behind the camera or whatever, not enjoying, but I feel like what you're doing is you're acknowledging what you're doing is cool and being grateful for it and engaging. It's not like you always engage your daughters and you always engage everyone and your wife. So even though you're on vacation, you're being aware of what you're doing and it's almost making you grateful for it because you're like, this is a cool moment. I'm going to capture it.
The last part of the vacation we had was in La Jolla, and it was we played golf, and me and my dad played golf with my brother-in-law. It's the best round of golf I've ever had. We laughed so hard. We had my dad's always very like you don't need a drink. Come on, you know. But we got Bloody Marys on the first round.
Perfect.
And they were doubles. My dad got so fucking hammered. And then the guys at TaylorMade called and they were like, hey, if you're in town, we got an opening if you want to get fitted for clubs. And I'm like, fucking done. Fucking drove out to TaylorMade, got fitted for clubs, came home, got high. It was like the greatest
day
fucking
ever.
I go on a walk in the morning with my wife. Dude, it was like, but, and then my vacation ended with that bike ride I just did.
Yeah.
That was the end of vacation. Now this month is like in-house rehab is technically what my wife's calling it. So like,
And then you've got Sober October coming up, right?
well, I'm training right now for Sober October.
Right.
Because I think we're going to do running. I'm not sure, but I think we are. And if we're going to do running, if I'm going to be competitive at all, I've got to get down. I've got to lose at least 20 pounds.
Well, that's the thing. Like I was going to do this with you today at 10:30. So I had a couple pops last night and I'm thinking, well, that's my first thing I'm going to do. I can, have a few drinks and hang out. I got a text from you at 8 a.m. this morning. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Dude. Why is he up at 8 a.m. texting me? This is crazy. He's getting after it. I was like, I got my shit together. I'm like, I got to be on.
I was wasted last night. I was wasted last night.
That makes me feel better because I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is he doing?
I got hammered last night. But this month, my wife's, because I said to my wife, I was like, when we were in La Jolla, we were on a walk. And I was like, everything's going great in my life right now. I'm like, I'm really happy. Like, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been creatively. The comedy I'm doing is the best I've ever done. Every project I'm working on is something I'm really into. Like, I can disappear in my imagination.
Right.
Like, I just go, oh yeah, I'm really happy. And my wife said to me, you know what would really suck? And I said, what? She goes, if you had a stroke and you,
Jesus.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck?
What? Why?
She was like, why don't you lose some weight? And I had said, maybe I'll go to like a, do you have like a soft rehab? And like, just go and like, where you can have white wine and smoke weed, but you can't like get hard alcohol. And she was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but we can do that at home. I go, okay. So I go, all right. So this August, I go, we're intermittent fasting, 16 hours every day.
Great.
Yeah, well, that's great, kind of. And then
are you just going to crush it when you're in your period? Can you eat as much as you want?
No, you got to still eat. I think you can eat regular, but like, I'm going to fucking.
Because I know a couple of people who have done it and they go, and I've been with them when they've done it. And I go, I'll do it with you. Fine. And they would eat way more in those 4 hours than they would the whole day. I'm like, it's like a cheat day. Oh, yeah. This cheat day thing is the funniest thing. So I listened to Tim Ferriss's podcast. I got his book.
Yeah.
And he's like, do this thing, this slow carb diet and blah, blah, blah. Then you have a cheat day, right? I've never done this before. So I go a week, and on Saturday, I hate fucked this cheat day. I literally, pizza so much. And then Leslie Bibb was doing this movie when we were doing Tag, and I told her, and she goes, that's not the way cheat days work. You can't eat all of the food in one day. I gained 5 pounds. I go, I don't think I'm doing this right. She goes, this is not how it works. Can't have 3 Snickers just because it's your cheat day.
Dude, that's running that marathon fucked me up so bad. Because I ran the marathon, this is a couple of years now, I guess, or a year ago. And I looked at my watch and I burned like fucking 5,000 calories. I was like, I've got some calories to put back. Dude, I gained weight. The day I ran the marathon, I gained 5 pounds.
It's insane.
I ate and drank everything that night, and then I couldn't walk for a month. And so but you still in your head, you're like, oh, well, I did run a marathon. I can eat whatever. I can have pizza. Right. So that when I rode the bike, I burned 3,000 calories roughly.
That's great.
Yesterday, and so I didn't eat. I've
keep
been
track of that shit, like calories and stuff, all the time.
I don't. I have a app called Noom. I think it's Noom. They're a sponsor of the podcast, and it's pretty good with tracking calories.
I don't do that. And I try to run as much as I can, and I try to work out as much as I can. And it's funny, if at my age, if you don't stay on top of it, you realize how bad you eat and how unhealthy you are.
Oh,
because I blew up like a tick. We went to Bora Bora, and I came home, and I gotta make a change. This is I didn't run once. I just ate everything, and I got home, and I'm like, I can't tie my shoes. I feel 100 years old. That's when it gets scary.
Can I tell you, my thing right now that I'm obsessed with is I started looking at men older men, like 60.
Okay.
And going, and my dad pointed it out, and he goes, buddy, it's all about muscle mass. You got to keep that muscle. And so now I'm obsessed with just putting on muscle.
Yeah.
Like like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do cardio, but I'm gonna if my as when you get older, your muscle just starts going away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do cardio, but I'm gonna start lifting weights, and so every day in August, I'm gonna go up to the YMCA, work out at the YMCA.
How are you going to do it? Do you have like an app? How are you going to do it? This is the thing I can't stand trainers because I'm not great with authority of any kind, and least of all as a guy.
Have you ever gone to Barry's boot camp?
No, I can't.
Dude, Barry boot camp's fucking
I
insane.
can't. I'll want to strangle him.
No,
Whoever it is, I can't. I've made yoga instructors cry. Like you're supposed to be zen, and they would literally privates. My wife would go, You're so stiff. You gotta. I tried to do Pilates. That didn't work. She goes, I have a great yoga instructor. She's the best. She's so sweet. She left in tears. Yeah.
Dude,
and I'm not trying to be mean.
I'm the exact opposite.
Oh.
I draw so much from a coach, from that mentality, that it's almost unhealthy. Like,
really?
Dude, you want to hear a great, this is one of my favorite stories. I was supposed to have her on the podcast. I don't think she's going to be on the podcast anymore. But I had this spin teacher, right? Probably 20 years ago, maybe, I was overweight. I had just gotten done doing these TV shows. I was out of work, but I had money. And I decided I wanted to lose weight. So I went to a couple spin classes. Bob Harper, who was Biggest Loser, was one of the spin teachers. And this other girl, I won't say her name, but this other girl, let's just call her Jennifer. Jennifer was one of the spin teachers. Bob and Jennifer had such a way to connect with what I was going on in my life, that in those classes, that it was spiritual. At one point, this girl Jennifer, I'm in a spin class and I'm out of the saddle, and it's Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm going home and I'm pedaling out of the saddle, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm gonna sit down. And she yells, "Don't sit down. Are you going home for Thanksgiving? Do you want the people that didn't fuck you in high school to wish they had fuck you, and now they want to fuck you?" And I'm like, that's exactly what I want. That's everything I'm here for. She's like, then stay out of that saddle and make them want to fuck you. And I was like, I want them to want to fuck me. And so I stayed out of the saddle. I go to a spin class during Sober October. And during Sober October, I was very in my head, 'cause it was very, very competitive. And I go to Soul Cycle. And I'm out of the saddle, and this woman gives this moving speech, and it's about competition, and competition's healthy, especially when it's with your friend. It's everything I'm going through, everything. I'm like, this.
Wow.
And I look up and I go, this is Jennifer from fucking 20 years ago. So I get up, I go up to her in front of class. I go, I'm sorry. About maybe 17 years ago, did you used to teach classes at Crunch? And she goes, I did. I said, let me tell you something. You would give speeches about changing your life, and you're the reason I lost weight. The reason I lost weight is I wanted to meet someone who I would fall in love with. I fell in love with my wife, and I have 2 kids, and I'm a successful comedian, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I swear to God, if it wasn't for those inspirational speeches you gave at our spin classes, I don't know where I'd be today. I'd probably be still overweight with that girl I didn't want to date. And she looks at me and goes, I was addicted to crystal methamphetamine back then.
I just said whatever.
I was like, what? She goes, my sister's sitting next to me, and my sister goes, that makes so much sense that a meth addict would connect with you spiritually, that your guidance would come out of she was like, we would just snort coke in the downstairs smoking cigarettes and just be high as fuck teaching those classes.
My God.
And I was like,
That's
my,
amazing.
I'm trying to get her on my podcast. She wrote a book and everything.
See, that's the problem is just you saying that gives me so much anxiety of the thought of walking into that room with all those people and the bikes and stuff. Can't do it.
Dude, I had a yoga teacher. This is the same time. My buddy Croy calls me up one morning. I'm up, I'm fat, I'm hungover as fuck. He calls me up random. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm up. He goes, want to go to yoga class with me? I was like, yeah, I'm dating this girl I didn't like, really. I mean, I liked her, but I wasn't in love. I go to the yoga class. I sweat profusely. I feel better already. I'm like not hungover anymore. And at the end of the yoga, we're laying on our backs, and the teacher says, think about one thing you want to change in your life. And I go, I want to get out of this relationship. And he goes, decide to change it. And I go, he goes, you can change it. And if you can't change it, I can change it for you. And I was like, yeah, the fuck you can. He goes, decide, make a decision that you're changing it today. And if you have a problem with that, come and talk to me after class. So I go up to this guy, sleeve and tattoos, bald head, stud, at the YMCA on Hollywood, right? I go up to this teacher. I'm with Croy. I go, give me 1 second. I go up to him. I go, hey, man, I heard you said, and he goes, what do you want to change? I said, I'm not happy in this relationship. He goes, break up with her. I go, it's not that easy. He goes, oh, it's exactly that easy. I said, what? And he goes, give me your phone. And he grabs my phone and he goes, what's her name? And I told him her name and he pulls it up, hits it, and he goes, tell her you want to take her out tonight on a date. And I went, okay. So it's like fucking 7 a.m. And she goes, hello? I go, hey, would you like to go out tonight? And she goes, yeah. I go, great. So I hang up and he goes, now promise yourself you're going to break up with her. And I guarantee you'll feel lighter. And I made the promise that I was going to break up with her. I ended up breaking up with her that night. By the way, the worst breakup ever, fucking ever, because I did it before we even ordered drinks. As soon as we sat down, I said, I want to break up. The guy's like, can I get you something to drink? I was like, I should have done this at the end. Fuck. But like, it was such a, I take very well to coaching.
Wow.
Like very well.
This could have gone totally the opposite way between the meth head and the sleeved up YMCA yoga guy. You gotta. This isn't like you're like meeting like the coaches for like the all-star like Wooden or somebody like, oh dude, these are just like cokeheads and fucking yoga instructors you're taking advice from.
Dude, I take very well to coaching for some reason, so I love those classes.
Wow, I don't.
For real?
No, can't do it. I can't. I've tried everything, man. I've tried every kind of trainer, and I always end up going, I'm out. I can't do it.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't. I've had bosses. It's not like I don't listen to people. I don't know. Just in the physical world, in the physical fitness world, I've never been into it. I played sports and stuff, but I never went to a gym. Like I know you can't tell.
No, you're in good shape.
I never went to a gym. I never did that. I just like to run by myself and not put my headphones on and have nobody.
I have a hard time. My hard time with running now is I have FOMO.
Right.
So like I have hardcore. I had someone was like developing a sitcom for me, and they're like, "What defines your character?" And my wife goes, "FOMO." I go, hold on, that's not that doesn't define me. And she goes, it totally defines you. And I was like, I think it does. I have a hard time going for a jog because I go, like, I have to do it when everyone's asleep because I go, I don't want to miss anything. Like and then this bike ride made me crazy because I didn't ride with anyone. I just rode for fucking 6 hours by myself.
Holy shit.
By myself, I just sat with my own thoughts for 6 hours.
Wait a second. First of all, you can't do that. You have to have headphones with music that drowns all that shit out.
Can't have headphones on a fucking bike. You can't bike with headphones.
Well, you can if it depends on where you go. I mean,
they wouldn't let us do it.
Were you on the road?
Yeah, we were on the open road.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, you could, because your cars and everything, and
yeah,
people coming up on your left.
Yeah,
fucking
6 hours of just you pedaling,
and so many fat people beat me. It's crazy. It was insane how many fat people beat me. I was like,
it was a race.
Yeah, it wasn't a race. It was like it was a ride from Philly to Atlantic City, and
wow,
and
no joke.
Yeah, it was no fucking joke, but I got beat by so many people. In all fairness, I did stay out till midnight partying after my show. I only had like a couple hours sleep.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, yeah, but being alone, I was 6 hours of just me not talking to anybody.
Wow.
I was like, I get to the rest areas and just unload to strangers. Hey, have you noticed? And they're like, I don't know you, man.
Anybody else feeling that the world really is headed down a path?
Because I'd write a joke and I didn't have anyone to tell it to.
Oh, no.
And so as soon as I get to the rest area, I was like, is it just me? Or do we feel like we're having anal sex with New Jersey? My butt hurts so fucking bad.
That's the thing. It's not just the butt, it's the taint too. It's all that muscles under there. It's not a good thing. I've never been a biker like long
I got
distance.
hemorrhoids from it.
Ooh, Jesus. Yeah. I maybe I could do like a cruiser bike with the big wide seats, for 6 hours, but like not like a road bike.
Oh, I looked at that bike as just like, I used to look at catcher's gears. Like whenever I looked at my catcher's gear, I just hated it.
You played baseball in high school?
Played baseball.
Yeah, I played soccer.
For real?
Yeah.
God, see, I wish I was
a goalkeeper.
Oh, so there's no cardio in that.
What perfectly defines my life. You can't win a game. You can only not lose. Right? It's like literally my entire fucking life. It's like being a producer. You can't. I never like had the winning goal. I would just not lose a game. And then when you did lose, you'd be like, fucking Garner missed that one fucking penalty shot. Lost by one.
Oh, fuck.
19 years of that shit.
Yeah, I was a catcher and then third baseman and then It's so funny. I was probably in better shape than I've ever been in my life, but I hated running back then.
Right.
And I would love to have that body for one day, just right now, to get 18-year-old Bert and see what it was.
And feel that, the energy you would have.
Sit up out of bed.
My son's 18. and it's so humbling. He beats me at everything now, and he doesn't play everything. We went up to Jackson Hole and we played golf. Fucker beat me, and he doesn't play, and he just because he doesn't care. Natural swing, murdering the ball, and he's hitting 3-wood, and I go, oh, fucking outdrive this kid right now. I swing as hard as I can, not even close.
Oh, the greatest feeling I've ever had. So we play golf. I have a great round. We go to TaylorMade, and the guy who fits you for clubs kind of says, "What do you shoot?" And I was like, I don't play very often. And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I play like once every year, couple years. And he was like, looking at me like,
why are you
like this is a tremendous waste of time.
Right.
and he goes, "What do you shoot?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Maybe like over bogey golf, but bogey over." And he was like, "Okay." And you could
over bogey.
And he's like, you could see him like, okay. So he goes, "All right, let's see your swing." So I take like a 7-iron and fucking dot it with my clubs. And he goes, "Hold on, whose clubs are those?" I go, "They're my dad's clubs." He goes, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna already tell you're gonna need steel shafts. Hang on, how do you shoot over bogey golf? You hit another one." So I keep hitting. He goes, "Hang on, how the fuck are you shooting so poorly?" And I said, "I got on the green in 2 for a par 5, and I 4-putted it." And he goes, "Are you fucking kidding?" So then he goes through, and I hit all the clubs, and he's like, "You're fucking," and that was the best feeling I've ever had. I felt like Ivan Drago when they were just sitting around watching him punch.
So great.
And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna get you the M5s, steel shaft. You know what you need? I'm gonna bring out this. Tell me." And it was the greatest fucking feeling.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I could feel. I remember when I started beating my dad at golf.
Oh, so he's 18 and he plays football. Not anymore. He's going to Michigan, so he's not going to play there. But he played all the way up through high school. And I'd watch him run, and I'm like, this fucking kid, he's not even fucking trying. He's not running. It's like he was just the stride was so slow, but he was doing great. And I'm like, how is he fucking doing that? And I go, I got to race him because I used to be really fast. So we're on the beach one day, and I go, listen, you don't fucking try. And he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, I watch you run. You look like you're running in slow motion. Let's race.
Good God.
It was out of the gate, like 2 strides. I'm looking at him going, how the fuck is he doing that? It's just that natural 18-year-old, he's 6'4", like 185 or something. Just that natural stride, not a wasted motion. He just destroyed. As fast as I can. Just destroys me. So we do that. We go shooting in Jackson Hole. Beats me at that, like everything. And you're either going to be the dad that's like, fuck you, and get mad, or you're like, well, this is my life now. It's pass the torch.
Dude, have you ever gone shooting up at, there's just up to 5, I think, there's this great skeet shooting place.
I'm not a great skeet shooter. I grew up shooting. My grandfather was a gunsmith. I'm not a great shotgun shooter.
Grandfather was a gunsmith.
He was. I'm from the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
And again, I told you, my dad was the first person to ever go to college for like long line of gas station owners. And he was a gunsmith and had pigeons.
Really?
He was a Renaissance man. And so I have a lot of guns, like, 30-06 and, 38 revolvers. I have a 44 Magnum, pistol. I like that kind of shooting. So we did all that. We shot everything, and it was great. We shot for 4 hours. Everything from a 22 to my son shot a 50 cal at the end of the day.
Really?
It was so much fun. It's really fun. It's really fun when you just get out there and learn how to do it right and target shoot.
I'm the fucking worst at that. I went out with Rogan one day, and we're doing something for Tribal Channel, and he came out and was a part of it, and I fucking loved it.
So fun.
And so me and my buddies will go out sometimes, and you walk the course, and then you go to a thing, you hit a button, and 2 skeet shoot just pop up out of nowhere, and you got to shoot them.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the fucking best. I really enjoy that.
So that's like quail hunting. That's really like, it's fun.
I could probably go. I don't know if I could. Have you ever hunted?
Yeah. Nothing big. We would go varmint hunting, like rabbits and rattlesnakes, and out here in Bakersfield and ground squirrels. But I've never shot a deer or anything like that.
I don't know if I could shoot a deer. I mean, I feel like I should before I die, like to test myself.
Jesus. If you're gonna do that, you got to kill it with a knife. If you really want to test yourself, just drench yourself in urine and take a knife. And
I almost stabbed a boar with a knife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I gave the knife to another guy and told him to do it. But it was. We went boar hunting with dogs in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was thinking about this.
Was that for the Travel Channel?
Yeah,
I think I saw that.
I did so much.
Well, I know. That's how I first found you was Bert the Conqueror.
It was the best meeting I've ever had. Yeah. My meeting with you was my favorite meeting I've ever had.
Thank you. Well, it worked out good. We have a call in a little bit here about it, by the way.
Oh, good. Am I on it? I don't think I'm on it.
I don't know. It's at 12:30. Are you on it?
I'll tell you. Nope.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'm on the wrong calendar. Oh, yep.
We're getting on a
Wait,
call.
hold on. No.
I'm getting on a call with everybody at 12:30.
No, I'm not on it. It's better that I'm not on it. The so then what was the transition like from out of the studio to independent?
Yeah, I thought, when I thought I was going to be a producer and everybody would be like, oh, you've done it. Here's a bunch of movies to go produce. It's not like that at all. So it just becomes, and I never realized what the job was being an entrepreneur. I always thought I'm just an executive. I'm just a guy who gets a paycheck. When you become a producer, you have to hustle. I mean, it's all on you. You're living movie to movie generally.
So do you go like when you you quit?
Yeah, and then I made $0. I'm also going through a divorce, which is not, and living in Malibu.
Yeah,
wasn't a great. Well, the whole way the whole things came together probably wasn't the best for my finances.
But do you get a deal somewhere, or do you have to try to make a movie?
You have to make a movie, man. You don't get paid till the movie gets made. Most people that are producers don't get paid till the movie gets made, which is crazy.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
So then, okay, so what was your first movie after that?
The first movie that I produced after that was Are We Done Yet, which is a sequel to Are We There Yet with Cube.
Yeah.
That was the first one because I had made that movie at Revolution. And then very quickly got Mall Cop. Kevin and I did that one together.
Mall Cop's a really fascinating movie, if I'm not mistaken, because it was during the writer's strike, correct?
It was right up against the writer's strike. So what happened was, again, Sandler.
No one was making movies. No one could make a movie.
No. Again, Sandler. This is all Sandler. So he had made a deal at Sony where for under $25 million movies, he could put a picture to them, meaning they trusted him. If it was, as long as it was under 25 with the Adam Sandler brand, they'll let him go make a movie. And I think he had one left. And so I was at the Sony lot with him, and he said, yeah, can you just go meet with Kevin? This writer's strike is coming up and they're stuck on this movie. Just go help him push it over the edge. I'm like, okay, what is he? Goes, it's a thing. He plays a cop. I don't know what he wants to do. Just go talk to him. So I go, okay. So I go to Kevin's house and I go, what is this thing? And he goes, well, I just want to be a cop with no authority. Like like on the boardwalk, those guys like cruising on the bikes or whatever. That'll make me laugh. And I just been to a mall and I said, you should be a mall cop. Those guys ride Segways. Have you seen that? We Googled it and he was cracking up. He goes, let's do that. I realized they didn't have anything. It wasn't like they had a whole script and stuff. They had kind of a vague idea. So in 6 weeks, Kevin and I just rolled up our sleeves at his house every day because the writer's strike was coming, worked with the writers to get that movie in shape to start shooting. Right as we got to the finish line, right before the writer's strike, Seth announced he was doing his Mall Cop movie. And
Seth who?
Rogen, Observe and Report.
Oh, yeah.
And Amy Pascal, who was really tight with Seth and those guys, was like, I don't think we should do yours now. And Sandler's like, fuck that. Put the movie to her. And so he used his final put on that movie. And the writer's strike happened, pens down, and we went off and made that movie in Boston.
And that was like everyone was trying to get a movie
done and going. So we were like in Boston, one of the only movies shooting because nobody was shooting movies. So we came out, we beat Observe and Report filming, and we got out before them. And again, it was like Waterboy. It opened at $38.5 million and did like 160. And so it was weirdly the same feeling again. Same guys, same people like going, fuck, this movie's not going to do anything. It felt very similar in the way that whole thing went down.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. I saw Observe and Report the other day only because, what's her name's in it? The girl who's Anna Faris is in it. And there is a straight up rape scene.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie is very dark. Very dark.
Straight up rapes.
It doesn't hold up.
It does not hold up. I watched it. I was like, oh,
Wow. Pre-Me Too, I think.
fucking. But Seth Rogen. Why I just watched This Is the End with the girls, and that my fucking daughters were dying
That
laughing.
movie's so good.
And then realized they watched the movie, but were unfamiliar that all those guys were famous.
Oh my God.
They watched the whole movie, and they didn't know that they're all playing themselves.
Oh, wow.
They thought they were just. It
amazing.
worked like as soon as they go. Why do they keep saying James Franco? Like who's James Franco? And this is towards the end of the movie. I go,
What?
that's whose house they're in. They're like, I know, but like, why does he like? I'm confused. And we hit pause. And we went, hold on. You know these are all famous actors, and they're like, no. And we're like, okay.
Wow.
They're all famous actors playing a version of themselves. And they're like, oh, is that why? So Michael Cera was Joe. It was, I was like, motherfucker. But
Wow. It's amazing when you realize the generational gap, how we think our generation is still relevant and holding up, and
Yeah.
you realize they have no idea who anybody is that we know.
they don't know who Britney Spears is.
Yeah.
My daughters don't know who Britney Spears
Wow.
is. Yeah, I know, right?
That's insane.
So how many movies do you have? How many projects do you have on the burner at any given moment?
Well, it depends. Like if I was in my 20s and you and I were at a bar and you were a hot chick, I'd be like, I got, 12 movies going. But now I'm 53. I don't really give a shit. I'm like, until it gets made, it's not really on the burner. So
That's so funny. I stopped giving a shit. Like went through development one time and I forgot I was in development. I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Nothing's fucking real.
Nothing's real.
Literally. So I've got, I have a little horror movie coming out in September called Haunt that we made. Eli Roth and I produced this little idea that I had. We made it for $2 million. It's coming out in September. Then I have a movie called Playing with Fire with John Cena and Keegan-Michael Key. And
My daughter's crush is John Cena.
yeah, he's great. It's just it's a really sweet throwback, like The Pacifier, Daddy Daycare,
Yeah.
a couple movies that I made as an executive. And, so it's very sweet. It comes out in November. That's the movie we just previewed this past weekend, and then I have Mortal Kombat shooting in September through the first of the year, and then hopefully you're in my show. We'll go like right after that. So
Great.
Other than that, like a bunch of other stuff that's like blinking green light that I'm trying to cast, whatever. But again, unless I'm in a bar, in my 20s, what am I going to fucking say? Like, there's a bunch of stuff in development that hopefully will get made.
And how long have you been doing your podcast?
A little over a year.
And who are your favorites that you've had on?
Well, I love Sandler because he was my first, and he was amazing, and it was and Kevin James and I had a really fun conversation. But I mean,
Kevin James is so fucking interesting.
he's so interesting,
and
he's such a good actor. and
Steve Byrne, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll say this. Steve Byrne, I knew Kevin through Gary. Gary Valentine's his brother.
Yep.
Gary and I were really close. And I knew Kevin through them. We played golf a couple times, and I'd go over to
that
Kevin's
guy can
house.
hit the ball a mile.
Yeah. And but Kevin's very shy. I mean,
Yeah.
he really is a very introverted person.
Very.
And I am not that guy. Like I remember having drinks with Kevin going like, do you realize how much fun I would have if I were you? And he was like, yeah, I can see it right now. I mean, I never had guacamole before at his house, and I had guacamole for the first time. I loved it.
Was it the house in Encino?
No, it was the house in Santa Monica.
Okay. Oh, this is back in the day.
Oh yeah, like fucking 17 years ago.
wow.
This is when he was on King of Queens.
Yeah.
I would go to his. I knew him when he lived in an apartment with Gary on Pico.
Yeah.
And so I remember going like,
That's where he was in the earthquake in 94.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is all the things that are wrong with me. Kevin was driving a Jeep Cherokee, like an old one, like a fucking 7-year-old Jeep Cherokee, living in an apartment. He was on King of Queens. I was on the same show as his brother, and I was driving a pimped out expedition living in the Hollywood Hills. And I was like, what the fuck? Why aren't you spending your money on anything? And he was like, it goes away. There's a point where it goes away, Bert. But I remember Steve Byrne calling me going like, I think Kevin hates me. I go, no, he's just quiet.
Yeah.
He's just a quiet guy. It's
is.
like very, very sweet guy.
Very sweet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've obviously made a lot of movies together, and so it's been fun. And I'm doing maybe a TV show with him at Netflix.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's, all the pieces have to come together, but I love working with him. He's
How do you
really
get this is gonna? You don't have to tell me the answer to this, but how do you get paid when you're a producer? Do you come up with a budget and then go, by the way, this is what I'm getting?
No, you have quotes. You build up quotes, then they ignore them. Ultimately, give you whatever they want. But you build up your quotes and you build up a reputation, and it's like you. You try to just keep getting paid a little bit more if you can. But in television, it's totally different. I'm a neophyte at this, so I did a show with Deerdeck on MTV for a little bit. But
What show?
It was called Snack Off.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think I saw that.
It was like Chrissy Teigen was on it.
By the way, Rob Dyrdek is one of my favorite.
Awesome guy.
I could be friends with him. That's a famous
you
guy.
Totally
I could be friends with.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Very intense, very good businessman, great business mind, always thinking about like how to put things together. So anyway, you get paid when it gets made. That's the problem. You don't get paid along the way.
Okay.
And you can't, there's an illusion that you can go, I'll just keep the rest of the money for myself. It's not how that works.
Oh, that's when this business started, I heard the thing was, if you're a producer, you make it for whatever you make, and then you keep the rest. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I started making shows where I could just think of, I did this show called The Cinderella Story, and where I went out and competed I shot the pilot, and it was really great. I think it ended up getting me my Bert Conqueror, but I would go out and find a competition and then enter it with no previous knowledge of what it was,
Oh, wow.
with no training.
That's cool.
In hopes that I would become the Cinderella Story.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
I entered the Long Beach Scottish Highland Festival, and I came in third place.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but it doesn't say much. There's not a lot of
Scotsmen in
not a
Long
lot of
Island.
real athletes at that festival. So let's do this. This is my to anyone listening who fancies themselves, I would like to make a movie. Give me the shortcut to what would sell an exec on a movie. Like I do want to make a movie. So tell me, like I remember hearing one time, if you can shoot it in one location, that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if you can do this, what's a shortcut of like what would make for a great pitch or a great idea for a movie?
Well, I mean, the shortcut would be to have a book generally.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because then the person can read the book and know what the movie is.
Okay.
So that's probably the easiest way, shortest way to do it, is find a great book with a great story and a great hook, like, 50 Shades of Grey, for example. That was a book that was, was an ebook. Like anybody could have found it early. People didn't, and then it blew up, and then it became a bidding war. But finding a book is the easiest way because it literally lays out the characters and the story. Short of that, there's no shortcuts really. I mean, horror is really popular right now, so you got to look at what's on in the theaters, and you got to look at what's on streaming. And so right now, if you had a really great horror concept that would low budget and would shoot like in a house or in
Had a lot of Asians in it.
like Get Out or something like that, or if you had that right now, much easier to get that made than comedy for sure. Comedy is really tough right now.
Comedy's really hard to make because stand-up wise, you just tell it and it's going to work. But to write it on paper and then see it translate into funny,
it's really hard. Well, you shoot a comedy and then you think it's funny, and then you edit it, and you a year later put it up in front of an audience. You hope it's still going to hold up. It's not like you can keep working it, or like in an animated movie, if it doesn't work, go, let's change the performance, let's change this, let's change that. You can't. You can only edit what you have, which is really hard.
Did you ever have those times where like you'd hear those stories about you have a movie and then the studio comes in and they fuck it all up?
I mean, no. I think people who are saying that it was already fucked up.
Yeah.
But studios don't intentionally do things like that. It's not like they're morons. These people that have these jobs are really intelligent people. They're generally doing what they feel is best in their gut, which may be opposite of what you feel is right. But I've had a lot of experience with really, really great filmmakers that I could tell you were a little self-destructive. Like they were like, well, I don't care. This is better. And you're like, it's not better. You know, objectively, it's not better. Like we're previewing it and the audience is telling you it's not better. I've seen filmmakers be like, well, I'm going to do something different. I don't want to give the audience what they want. And you're like, well, we paid $30 million. We need to give the audience what they want. And so I've seen that happen more often than something that was great that just got destroyed by a studio executive. I mean, Harvey Weinstein's probably the most famous for doing that, of just going in, throwing the filmmaker out, and you know, and those movies probably did get worse because they're like auteur movies that he sold them on. Oh, I love your vision. I want your vision. Then would go in and completely gut it. But in terms of comedy or in terms of just generally commercial movies, the preview process is there for a reason because you're listening to the audience's feedback and you got to take it seriously.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm going to get you out of here before the phone call.
Yeah, man. So we can go sell your show.
Yeah. Please.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'm
It's
so
a fun
excited
one.
for that.
Me too. It's a good
and then we'll
one.
do a podcast right after we start shooting that.
Let's do that. We'll do it
podcast.
there.
Yeah, we'll do it there.
Perfect.
And we'll have one of the, well, we don't want to tell everyone our ideas.
No, perfect.
Oh, and there's someone I want to tell you after this. But hey, what the name of your podcast is?
The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide.
And it's on anywhere, Apple Podcasts.
Anywhere you get your podcast, go check it out.
Thanks,
dude, I'm really glad that our paths have crossed. I'm
Me
glad
too.
you stalked me.
Me too. Will you call me back now?
Yeah. I'm calling you back.
Awesome, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.